Hey, what's up, everyone? This is David Greenspan, and you are listening, and today you are also watching the MindShare podcast, a proud member of the Industry Syndicate Media Network. Additional podcasts are available at industrysyndicate.com and mindshare101.com. This week's episode is sponsored by Kits Keep in Touch Systems. This is episode 7. So today I'm joined by Dustin Brohm. This guy just got back from speaking at Gary Vee's Agent 2021 in Miami. He is the owner and founder at the Massive Agent Society, the host of the Massive Agent podcast, the owner and founder of the Salt Lake Insider and Search Salt Lake. He's a realtor with eXp Realty and the co-founder of the Industry Syndicate. This guy is a busy guy, but we know some people who know some people, and we made a few calls, and we got lucky, and well, okay, nah, it didn't really go down like that. I just reached out to him like, dude, I want to have you on the episode. He's like, absolutely, bro, I'm in. Although the other way sounded a little bit cooler. Dustin, man, thank you very much for taking the time to be here today, buddy.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on. No, really, I was just planning on like playing video games in my underpants all day. So when you're like, let's do a show, I'm like, I could put down the Xbox for a minute. To be honest, I haven't played video games since college. It's been like, what was that, 15 years? Like NCAA 2002, I think was the last. No, 2002? Yeah, that was like the last video game I played. How lame is that?
Dude, straight up, first of all, luckily we're only seeing your top half, because if you are in your underwear, this is good for everybody watching.
No one will ever know.
I will admit to the fact that I do dive into video games every now and again. I do have a 7-year-old, very rambunctious little boy who's very much into his sports. The only video games he plays are NHL, NBA, FIFA soccer, MLB. So he's playing the sport games, and that's a good thing because he's very into his sports. And the one thing about it, and just a quick one on that, we were playing MLB, and he was up to bat. I was fielding. He's got a guy on second. Pop fly comes. If anybody understands baseball and the theory of tagging up, well, he started running to third. I threw the ball to second, got him out, and I had a double play. And he looked at me like, Dad, what are you doing? And I'm like, dude, I tagged you out. He's like, what? I'm like, you need to tag up. Anyhow, fast forward, get to baseball, like real live baseball. That same week, doesn't this guy get a guy out, looks at me, goes, I got him. He didn't tag up. And I'm like, you see that?
Nice.
And yeah, man. So, you know what, dude? I think that there's he's not into Fortnite. I mean, he wants to do all those things, but the reality, like, he's so busy with his own sports, and we're not into that whole, like, war games and all that stuff. So, like, if he's going to play them, at least he's going to learn something from them, right? And I think that's the benefit of it.
Well, I know that if I were to jump into one of those games now with like the graphics the way they are, like it looks like you're in the damn game. And
yeah, it's crazy.
I'd be hooked. I'd be absolutely hooked. And so I'm not going to go there.
But I can't figure it out. Like, as much FIFA as I play with him, and then NHL, and we can do the same thing on like a Sunday morning. We'll like sit down for like an hour and just play a few games. As much as I can do that, dude, it's not an A/B controller anymore with like a little like up, down, side to side arrow. You literally have like a million different buttons, and I am so confused over how do you pass? How do you deke? How do you shoot? You play another game, all of a sudden it gets confusing. Bro, it's too much for me, man. I'd rather stick to my laptop and my W.
Exactly. I'll just keep scrolling Instagram instead.
Yeah, man. Well, we do work when we do that stuff. I mean, there's
right.
like reason for that. But you are all into the tech of things. And I know when I first started watching the Massive Agent videos, like right away, I was able to relate with it. I'm like, this guy's like one of my boys. I don't even know this guy yet. But we believe in a lot of the same core values around what it takes to truly succeed in this real estate game. And too many people believe like they just buy tech, literally just buy in, spend the money, do nothing else, and the business is literally just going to roll in. And I know you and I see that in a very different way. And I want to dig deeper on that today. So I want to dig into lead gen, chatbots. I want to dig into up in the social game. I want to talk about, what you think of voice or video in 2019, because that's a really cool topic. But before we get into that, I saw that Gary Vee got to meet you the other day in Miami. I was just wondering, like, how was his reaction to that? Was he all groupie and shit? Like,
totally.
I obviously did follow you guys while you were there. I saw the awesome time you had while I was sitting back here in the thick of things, just kicking myself for not being there. And I really wish I was there. But tell us about it. Like, how was Agent 2021, man?
Dude, it was first off, when I left Salt Lake, it was like 20 degrees. It was snowing like a bastard.
Yeah.
And then I go down to Miami where it's 75 and sunny. That didn't suck. I enjoyed that. It was a nice little
Travel was
change.
good.
Yeah, yeah. But Agent 2021, like it's not a conference. It's hard to describe. Like it's not like you're going to Inman. It's not like NAR. It's not like it's not your typical conference. It's a marketing event. And it was at Hard Rock Stadium where the Miami Dolphins play.
Oh yeah.
And it was so they had Gary Vee doing an opening keynote along with Matt Higgins, he's one of the sharks on Shark Tank right now.
Yeah.
He's a co-owner or part owner of the Miami Dolphins, part owner of the RSE Ventures, which is a VC firm that Gary Vee's involved with. And like, this guy is he's ridiculous. That was great. I mean, the whole thing was just powerful because there's something about being in one spot where pretty much everybody is like-minded and they're hungry and they're looking for like what's really working today, like what's reality, like what tools do they need, how do they need to do things, and there was that hunger. And so like there was this buzz at this event that it's hard to describe other than like, everyone's kind of moving in the same direction and everyone's cool, everyone's nice, everyone's, you just felt like you're in the right spot. So very, very well done event. A lot of people had videographers. It was crazy how many people were walking around with videographers. And they made it easy. They wanted that to happen. So they gave like a 50% discount for someone to have a videographer there. And so they were encouraging
for the videographer to get ticket. I got it. Understood.
Yeah.
So was there a lot of people there?
No.
Like
So
1,000 people, 400 people, 2,000. Like, what kind of numbers was this guy looking at?
I want to say there was like 500, 600.
Really?
Like
Okay.
it was smaller than I thought, but I'm so glad that it was. And I'm sure, for ticket sales, they're like, God damn it. But it made it so much more intimate. And so everybody was so much more accessible. Gary Vee himself, the VaynerMedia team, other speakers like John Henry and Matt Higgins, the other speakers who came and traveled to speak on a panel, like everyone was so accessible. It wasn't crazy crowded. And so that, like, if there were 3,000 people, it would have been a totally different event.
Yeah. Like, did it feel empty because there was only 500 or 600 people? Like I know Jay did a live with us while you guys were down there, and him and I jumped on a live quickly, and he was telling me that there was room for mortgage, a room for real estate, a room for automotive, and a room for, I think, insurance or something. With only 500 people, like, what did every room feel completely empty, or was it done right where it felt good?
So I had the expectation that there would be thousands of people because last year they did it on 2 months notice, and it was during Inman Connect in New York.
I remember that.
So there was a conflict for a lot of people in the real estate industry, and I think they had 1,200 people.
Oh,
and so I was expecting them to double that, and to find out, hey, there weren't that many people there for whatever freaking reason was a little surprising. But as we got into it, it's like, this is amazing. Like, it was so much better for the attendee when it was more intimate like that. From a business standpoint, I'm sure they would have, they're probably pissed they didn't sell more. But man, if they could make it worth doing and keep it this size, perfect, absolutely perfect for the attendees.
Interesting. I know this. I mean, and this wasn't a deterrent. Like, this was like, I think on the Wednesday, I'm like, I got to figure out how to get down there. And I like literally looked into tickets. I mean, tickets themselves were what, 1,250 or something. Like, I know that you probably have early birds and whatnot. It's not a cheap ticket to be down there either, though.
Not a cheap ticket. No, they were given 20% discounts. But that's still, like $800, $900. Yeah. Not cheap.
Yeah.
But I mean, all the food's included. Like, they had They had an open bar the night before this social they had out at
Saw that.
on the beach in Hollywood, Florida. Like, so you get a lot for your money.
Yeah.
It's a very, very well done event. Vayner Experience does not mess around. They do a very good job. So you get what you pay for sure. And I think part of when you ask if it was empty or felt empty, some of that is you're in an NFL stadium.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. You're not filling all those seats for sure.
Right. And it wasn't on the field because they were getting ready to do the Miami Open tennis event. So like the football field was torn out and it was all like a construction zone.
Oh, wow.
So we actually had like the keynotes and everything where everyone was meeting together out in they built a tennis facility for the Miami Open outside, and at center court there is where they had it. But still, like that holds, I don't know, 10,000 people, 5,000. Okay. And so you see all those seats and you're like, wow, this feels empty.
Yeah.
If it was in a smaller venue, it wouldn't have felt that way. But I loved it. I thought it was.
So you're going back next year, bottom line.
Oh, hell yes.
And for anybody listening, they should be going to that event.
Without question. And any event Vayner Experience does that you can get to, get your ass to it. Absolutely.
Get over there.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So I know I believe it was the evening before, you did have a chance to sit down and speak with Gary himself.
Yes, I did.
And
it was like 25 minutes.
Wow, buddy. And I mean, I guess I'd right off the hop. I mean, where I'm going with this question, I want to know what he had to say about our industry syndicate, but overall, what did a 25 minute combo with Gary, sort of, very small group setting, almost one-on-one? Because I saw it was like you, Phil, like him, like there wasn't a lot of people around. What were you guys going off about?
Sure. So it was a VIP dinner. So anyone who bought a VIP ticket got into this dinner, amazing dinner. Like they brought all this ridiculous food out, like Kobe beef sushi, like amazing. And Gary went around to each table and spent 20 or 25 minutes at each table. And so when he got to our table, there was like, I want to say 8 other people, 10 total, maybe even less.
Yeah.
And everyone else at the table besides Phil Treadwell and myself, they were shy, which was awesome. So yeah, so Gary,
they didn't want to say anything. They're just like, hey,
they asked some questions, but at first he sits down and, everyone's just like, what do I do? So Phil and I jump right into it, and take advantage because we're sitting next to Gary V at dinner for 25 minutes. Yeah. And Phil, because they had, they kept the drinks flowing and they were included, he was feeling frisky. Yeah. He was feeling pretty good. So he's like, Gary, let me tell you about this Industry Syndicate deal and here's how it works and, blah, blah, blah. I wouldn't have done that. I'm glad he did.
Oh, good. Okay, cool. That's interesting.
Yeah.
And so how did he react to this whole Industry Syndicate? What was he saying about it?
When we told him that we were launching our own app, which is coming first part of February, and that we're going to be doing exclusive content and that we're just bringing on existing shows with existing audiences, he's like, that's right. Whoever's closest to the consumer wins. So the app idea he really liked to build that community and really like stay in touch with the community. He really liked that. He said, that's the right answer. And I was able to follow up the following morning at the speaker's breakfast because he remembered our conversation from the night prior and we kind of rehashed a few things. That was good. He really liked it. He thinks that we need to be in audience building mode for like 4 years.
Okay, interesting. And what did he suggest? Okay, so on that then, for us, it's one thing what we can learn from that, but I guess for everybody listening, what does that mean then?
His whole premise was that you want to give as much to the consumer, as much to the listener as you possibly can without asking for anything in return. And if you've been following Gary Vee for any length of time, that that's really his ethos. Yeah. Like that's his whole thing.
Totally.
And goddamn Jason Frazier for getting the word ethos into my vocabulary. That's not a word that I've ever used, but now it's, I don't know, it's douchey, but I'm going to use it anyways because it works.
Shout outs to Frazier.
Yeah, it fits the context. But that's kind of Gary Vee's mantra. Mantra is better than ethos, I guess. Is just give with as long as you can without asking for anything in return. And so when we mentioned the possibility that one day we might have a subscription model for certain exclusive content, a show, whatever that were members only, he pushed back against that. He's like,
back against that.
Yeah. He's like, the fact that you're even bringing that up right now is a weakness. You guys need to just be in audience building mode and give as much as you can for as long as you can. And
So he was suggesting don't close this out to a specific group of people and don't try and monetize this so quickly. Just go out there and keep building. That could take you a few years, but in that time, that's where, or after you've sort of hit that kind of that spot, that moment, that's when you can jump into that aspect of it.
yeah, even he says resist that. Like literally, if you could go 20 years,
Wow.
if you could go 20 years without ever asking someone for $5 a month, that's great. Because when you put that wall there, even if it's $1 a month, that's friction. And some people just don't want to go there, no matter what. And so once you do that, you limit your audience growth. So, and I fully agree with him. Like we just need to be expanding, bringing on as many new like-minded shows as possible that would be of value to the audience and to the community, and just keep bringing on good stuff and helping existing shows to grow their audience as well, and just keep doing that and keep providing stuff and providing stuff and providing stuff. When we talked about monetizing, like he was dead set against it, but he was thinking like charging the consumer like a $5 a month subscription fee. He's like, don't go there, especially not now. Monetizing by like having sponsors and partners support, that's another story, because that doesn't really affect the the listener. It doesn't cause
the listener, the consumer, the person actually consuming the content.
Yeah, I mean, because ultimately, if we're going to be doing all the amazing stuff that we plan to do to build this amazing community in the real estate industry, we've got to have money to do it. So I surprisingly am not independently wealthy, so we might actually have to leverage. Right,
I'm having that challenge as well.
It's weird. Yeah, the fewer zeros than I'd like in my account.
Now hold on a second. I'm going to bring that up right here, and I'm going to bring it up here. I'm going to drop it for a second. Maybe we come back to it in a few moments there. But you're very consistent with video. You're very consistent with voice. You're very consistent with your social media, and you're telling me you haven't hit the jackpot yet.
I mean, define jackpot.
Well,
like,
yeah, but okay, monetary jackpot, where it's like, you've done all this consistency for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, whatever it's been, and it still hasn't panned out to be the world of riches that maybe some people believe it to be. And so I guess where I'm going there is I'm sort of being a little bit what's the word I'm even looking for here? Just a little bit, cheeky about it, maybe, of the fact that it doesn't work that way, right? Like, it's not about that. It's not that just because you start a social media game, and be it voice, be it video, again, be it like just being on social and engaging, that you're going to turn around and make a ton of money. It doesn't work like that.
Right. No, I think that this is a fantastic conversation to have, especially for anyone listening who they're just learning about content marketing and what's possible.
Right.
Right. Like there's a lot of amazing things that have happened in my life since I started content marketing, for sure.
Yes. And that's why I said monetarily rich rather than or jackpot. But and that was a great question, the way you asked it back. What does that mean? Right.
It's not like you do 5 videos a week and that equates to $20,000 a month in your account. Like, it doesn't work that way, but there's so many other things that happen. Like, you gain a new buyer. A buyer sees a video that you put out, and now they want to work with you, and now you have a deal that you wouldn't have had otherwise. That's the goal there. Like, you can pick up speaking opportunities. Then you start getting asked to be on other shows, which grows your audience and grows your profile. And then you could have sponsorship on your website. You could have ad space sold on your website. You could do affiliate marketing. Like, I just picked up Audible as a sponsor for my podcast.
Oh, sweet.
And it's an affiliate marketing deal that provides people with a free audiobook and a 30-day free trial and all that. And like, you can do that stuff if you have an audience, but it's not like it equates to $1 million, your first year. Like, there's levels to this. There's a process. A lot of the benefits are going to be indirect and things that maybe you didn't anticipate. Just know that content marketing is so worth it. It's mind-boggling. Just because you might not have $1 million come in your first month doesn't mean that you won't in year 3.
I look at the whole game around this, and I mean, with most of everything we do out there, from our marketing to the people we connect with, That's what the whole thing around MindShare is all about, right? Because you just said it, like, you're ripping your videos, you're ripping your podcast, you're doing your stuff. All of a sudden, I tap into that. We start connecting and we start talking about something. Next thing you know, hey, here we are on this show. And that's where it starts to grow. And I mean, I can tell you the same thing. When I'm putting out a social media post, and I'm really consistent with my stuff as well, is, does somebody come knocking on my door that same day going, Dave, I saw you posted on Facebook today, and well, we just want to write you a check for it, or we want to buy you, or we want to sign up for it? No. Right? But what ends up happening is some people go, I'm seeing you and I've seen you and I know you, and you're like, oh, like that's and that happens a lot now, where you go, I don't know who this person is, but they seem to know who I am. Right? You kind of go, how? Where did you see me? And they start thinking, you could see the wheels spinning, and they're thinking to themselves, I'm trying to figure it out. I think it might have been Facebook, or maybe it was LinkedIn, or no, there's that person down the hall that works with you. And now they're going, I don't even know anymore. I just know who you are.
Right.
Now it's working. Right. And
100%.
so to me, it's so much more than just the Facebook or like just the social media play, but it is about how you interact with other human beings. It is about how you're consistent with your execution every single day. Right. It's about having that plan. And I mean, I even went off today, in my private members group, where I went live this morning, and I talked about making the list, right? And I mean, I broke that down in my public group and sort of like gave a couple points, but in the private group, we really dove into that today. And I was making that list of, what do I have to do tomorrow? What has to get accomplished? Who do I have to see? Who do I have to call? Just what are those things? And there's such a big deal around making that list, because it is what comes back to holding you accountable to yourself. It's what comes back to keeping you consistent and with your execution on everything you do. And the nice thing about a list too is, as you are actually executing on what you're doing in a day, at the end of the day, you can look back at that list and go, look at everything I accomplished. Or you can do that at the end of the week, or the end of the month, the end of the year, right?
Right.
But it lends to the consistency, which in turn builds the mind share, which in turn gives you the opportunity to maybe be able to do something else down the road somewhere.
Yes.
Right. But it's like, if you're not
well put. Yep.
Like if you're not consistently executing and you're not doing it regularly, and you're just kind of going, like we joked about before, like, well, I'm going to, do a podcast one day, or I did a podcast. Yeah, I did an episode last month. No, right? That's not where it's going to come from. And I like what you had to say about the content thing. It is so powerful, but you got to realize that you're giving a lot of value, and you can't be sitting there naturally going, well, I'm just waiting to cash in. It can't be like that. You just want to give and provide value. And at some point you do it the right way, something up there is going to start to turn in your favor.
That's exactly how it works. Yeah. It's, and it doesn't mean that, and especially if you're a local real estate agent, a local loan officer in your local market, just trying to build your brand, you have no idea how much easier it is to do on your local level. You can start doing content consistently, do it well. Don't worry about, just do it, and then learn how to do it along the way. We talked about this before we started recording. Is so many people are trying to like get shit figured out before they launch their show.
Right.
How are you going to learn until you're doing it? You can't learn. How are you going to learn how to drive a car by reading a book? You have to drive the damn car to learn how to do it. True. The same thing. So just do it, learn, improve, try to make every single episode or every single post or every single article, make it better than the last one. And before you know it, you have built an audience in your local area. And like you said, people are going to recognize you. People are going to notice you. And it might take longer than you think, but I think you'll be surprised at how fast you'll start to see some fruits from your labors. And,
absolutely. Yeah. Sorry.
And pretty soon you've got people calling saying, hey, I watched your video about that new bar that just opened in town, and I noticed you're an agent. I need to sell my house. You're like, awesome. And that video had 74 views. And you're like, damn, that video sucked. I only had 74 views. 74 people watched it.
Right. It's better than nobody. It's better than 73. Like, you got to be happy about those. Absolute great point, man.
Picture 74 people in a room.
Right.
Like we put so much damn emphasis on our numbers and our, how many followers we have and how many page likes and all that stuff. And yes, you want those numbers to increase, of course, but that's not the end game. Like that's just a metric to show if you're making progress along the way to building an audience and building a brand. Like
Right.
that's just a metric to do it. You could have 100,000 followers on Instagram that won't listen to anything you say. Like if you go recommend a product, they're like, nope.
Yeah.
But you could have 700 followers that actually like you
Follow.
actually have influence with.
Yeah.
And that is a powerful brand. It's not about that number. You just want to make sure that it's a metric to show you if you're making progress or not, but it's not the only metric. And it's not even the most important one.
No, I think the most important one would come back to measure yourself. Did I do it yesterday? Okay, now it's today. Am I going to do it today? Tomorrow, am I going to do it tomorrow? Looking back to today, did I do it? And it's there's the metric, right? Because if you can be, and look, man, I got to imagine you're agreeing with exactly this point, but sitting in my own shoes in my own chair right now and having, MindShare video, MindShare vid, MindShare 101 vid 139 was just released on Monday, right? That's 139 videos deep. And that's consistency. So it's like, does everybody love my videos? No. Are there a lot of people that do? I sure hope so. But the key is I'm consistent about the execution. And now somehow I've got different media publications that are in the industry that republish my videos. I've got people calling me to have me speak on stages because they see the videos and they follow the rest of the content. So it's more about, that's the metric, I think, is, are you being consistent with what you're doing? That's how to make it all work.
The consistency is where the magic happens.
Right.
Absolutely.
Magic ingredient to achieving anything you want in life. Right. And it could be losing weight. It could be quitting smoking. It could be ripping podcast. Like it could be anything.
Absolutely.
That's where the magic comes from. So tell me this. You were at that at Agent 2021. You were a speaker there. What time were you on stage at? What were you talking about? What was sort of the thing around what you brought to that show that day?
Sure. So we went on about 2 p.m. We were the last panel of the day, and it was on the mortgage track, and it was all about content marketing to build your brand.
Okay.
And content marketing is how I got into the game. Like the reason that you even know me or that I'm even on your show is because I started blogging 4 years ago.
Got it.
For my local real estate company. And so I started down that road, and that leads you to, like, once you create the content, the very next step is promoting it. Like you could have the best damn video ever, but if you don't get anyone to see it, it doesn't exist.
Right.
So create, promote. We went down those roads. We talked about podcasting, flash briefings, voice marketing, what I do to promote and grow my audience there. And it was really good. It was a very well attended panel. Jason Frazier was on it. Ginger Bell was on it. Sweet. And Patty Ariello, who is a co-founder of New American Funding. They're a mortgage company in the U.S.
Okay.
And she was on it as well. It was great. Like, we had a lot of good feedback from it, and we had fun. Like it was just a fun conversation. And next time you talk to Frazier, you're gonna have to ask him about Magic Mike, because that is his new nickname. Frazier is so yesterday. He's Magic Mike.
Okay, so I got to go into our Slack chat later and be like, "Hey, Magic Mike, what's going on?"
What's going on, Magic Mike?
He's going to know what's happening right there. Eh? He's going to be, you've been talking to Brohm.
He started it, man. He started it.
So overall on that Agent 2021 experience, then, did you, when you walked in, did you come away with what you were looking to come away with? Did you not get that? Did you get more than that? Like, I know you said you'll be back there, so I got to imagine it's all positive, but like, what were you going in there going like, or was it pure blinders on, I'm going to speak and get the hell out of Dodge, which I highly, highly doubt knowing you, right? But it's that idea of like, what was that sort of thing for you?
Sure. When I went, I was obviously focused on speaking and networking and meeting some new people and building relationships that could help me get more paid speaking opportunities and just, further the whole career, right? Like I was like, there's going to be a lot of great people there, and I'm excited to network and to hear and meet Gary Vee, of course.
Yeah, for sure.
What I wasn't expecting, and what I really got out of it that was super impactful, and my the podcast that I'm doing tomorrow, episode 57, I really dive deep on this, but the biggest overall thing that that was reinforced was that none of us, not even Gary Vee, according to him, is doing enough content.
Wow.
Not even close. He has a team of 30 or like 20 doing his content and helping him with that. It's more content, more often, in more places. That's the game. Because attention is everything, and you keep that mind share by staying in front of people and by people seeing your face, seeing your logo, seeing your brand in as many places as possible, as often as possible. And so when he said that he is not doing enough content, imagine like you and me, like not even close. And at that dinner, he told us you should be posting on Instagram at least 4 times a day. Don't overdo it, but 4 posts on Instagram a day, do stories, and then repurpose it, put it on LinkedIn, put it on Twitter, put it on Facebook, everywhere. And so I realized I've got to do a shitload more content and repurpose what I've already done. And so I need help to do that. I'm trying to find a high school student or a college student who's a graphic designer that can help with that.
So buddy, that was an incredible thing you just said. Sort of cut you off on that. It's amazing because I imagine that most everybody listening to this is going to know Gary Vee. I mean, most everybody knows Gary Vee these days, right? And if you know him, you know how much content he puts out. And you just heard this first right here in a one-on-one real life conversation with Dustin. He literally told Dustin he's not putting out enough content. Like, wow. So now comes that thing of that typical common question of people going, but Dave, I think it's too much. I think I don't want to do it all the time. And you go, what? You don't want to be in front of people more often? You don't want to build the mind share with more people? Well, yeah, I know, but I don't want to bother them. And I'm like, listen, I do this one all the time, and I do it on stage. And when you're in front of like 1,000 people and they all do this in unison, it's amazing because they all look at each other like, oh my God, we said the same thing. You're like, no shit, you said the same thing. But it's like you ask, like, what do you think of when I say, running shoes? And they're like Nike. You're like, yeah, or like pop, and they go Coke, or fast food. They're like McDonald's. Like, oh my God, we said the same thing. Yeah, you said the same thing because they know what they're doing.
Right. Because of that mind share. That's why they put their logos on freaking stadiums. Like, right? What value does Coca-Cola get from having their name on a baseball stadium? Like, it's just that brand recognition. It gets burned into the deep recesses of your brain. And when you put out more and more content, people see you more often. Look, some people are going to think you're doing it too much. Some people will be turned off. Some people will think you're a douchebag. Some people will think you're an egomaniac. Some people will just get sick of you and tune out.
Yep.
But guess what? The right people will keep following, and you're going to make a deep connection with those people and grow a powerful audience and a powerful following. That's where it's at. And Gary talked about this perception that so many people have. The person that you mentioned, whether they're hypothetical or not, that were like, hey, I'm doing too much. I'm putting too much content out there. They are worried about what other people. I do as well. Absolutely. And I've kind of, at times, I've felt this way too. The only reason we feel that way is we're worried about being judged by somebody else. By somebody else thinking, wow, they're always sticking their phone in their face. They're always on Facebook Live. They must be an egomaniac. They're all about themselves. They're arrogant. But guess what? How else are you going to build a personal brand without the person?
Well, there's the thing, man. And like when you look at it too, and hey, I mean, I think it was Gary too, maybe that said this at one point. Somebody said it, but like if you got haters, that's a good thing, right? Like you've obviously been doing enough out there. And I literally, the first time I got chirped, and the first time, the next time I got chirped, and then it was like this other person just kept coming back, and I'm like, what the hell's wrong with this guy? And then this like revelation comes off. You're like, this guy's gold. That means people are watching this thing. People are listening to this thing. This for all of those guys, there's way more that are positive, that are liking it, that are loving it. And I mean, this comes back to this as well. And again, I'm being the hockey guy that I am, and you can relate this to any sport, I guess. But if you've got a 10% scoring rate and you only take 10 shots, you're getting 1 goal. But if you've got a 10% scoring rate and you take 100 shots, well, you're going to get 10 goals. So it's like, how big and wide do you want to try to go? Again, local and doing it properly within your, sort of like your sphere and whatnot. But, how big and wide do you want to go there and start to really take that idea around percentages and shooting and scoring? You want to talk to more people. You want to get out there and get your face out there, doing it the right way, using the right channels to deliver the right message. But there is something to be said. You got to be doing it. You can't be fearful, because how many more people out there are fearful of putting out too much content?
All your competitors are.
Oh, 100% they are, right? But here, so let me switch gears here. I want to go down this road for one moment here, because again, this is another hot topic. The topic of lead gen, chatbots, social media lead gen, let's call it Google, social, whatever. But it's no doubt that when you poll agents, they will tell you that over 70 to 90% of their business usually comes from their contact list. And so that leads me to just have this logical approach to tell them you should be spending 70 to 90% of your marketing dollars on that group, right? Be more focused where they are and spend less a little bit. But, you won't have to work so hard if you're focused on the right audience and doing the right things. And naturally, you're going to get a higher ROI. And to me, that's all just logic, Dustin. So, that said, the past number of years, realtor after realtor has spent a lot of money on the idea of lead gen, on the idea of chatbots, social media lead gen, and most of them don't have the proper game plan on how to actually make it work to generate dollars. And I'm not saying it doesn't work, but I'm saying it can be crazy expensive, right? So like anything, absolutely, they need to have a plan before jumping in. And I know that this is right up your alley. So if someone's looking to set up an online strategy to generate leads, how much should they expect to pay monthly? Like just average first time buy-in. What kind of cost do people look at?
First off, stay the hell away from Zillow leads, Realtor.com leads, because you might be paying $100 a lead, $200 a lead. I mean, it's ridiculous. The big giant teams that can spend $10,000, $20,000, $100,000 a month on that, they win. But if hold that thought.
What is a lead? When you're saying you could spend $100 on a lead, what is a lead?
Somebody that goes to Zillow and they're like, hey, I'm interested in this house. They fill out the contact form, right?
So some random person just filling out some random form.
Yeah.
And
you in
paid $100 for that.
Yeah.
That's
in
crazy.
Theory, they're interested and they're a qualified buyer and they're ready to go, but I've done Zillow leads before. It was back when when Trulia was a separate company, and it was just pure garbage. I mean, we barely broke even, but 1 out of 100 leads was even good. It was just bad news. But you have to first, before we get into how much you should plan to spend, first off, you don't need to spend thousands per month. You don't. If you have the budget and you want to outsource it to a pro, cool. There's some great programs and services to do that. But I think most people, the vast majority of agents and loan officers, don't have thousands a month to spend. The good news is, spoiler alert, you don't need thousands to win. But you really have to take the time to learn what you should be doing and how to do it the right way. So for me, it's Facebook ads.
Okay.
There's so many other lead gen programs. I mean, there's Google AdWords and everything like that. But Facebook ads, and this was a big topic of conversation at Agent 2021.
I would imagine, right?
Absolutely. I mean, and it's nice validation for me because I have that Facebook ads training program for agents and LOs. But I'd kind of forgotten just how important Facebook ads are right now, because Gary was asked point blank, if you were starting a brokerage tomorrow, what would you do? And he said, easy. I'd spend literally every dollar that I possibly could until the point it was painful on Facebook ads. Every single dollar he'd spend on Facebook ads, because they're so undervalued still.
Yeah.
They're such a great deal.
Said that many times.
Absolutely. But we all know someone, and probably somebody listening here, I guarantee someone listening here, they're like, oh, but Facebook ads don't work.
Right.
Or I tried it.
Right.
And they don't work. Right.
Right. Right.
Well, you didn't do it right.
Well, that's what I'm asking. Okay, so that's the question then. It's like, when we look at the systems, right, and we look at the cost, and this is something that I say to people, it's like, you can go and set up that ad. I know a lot of wicked people that will work magic for you, but they might cost you $1,500 a month for management, another $1,000 for your ad spend. You got to know what pieces of the puzzle. Like, for example, whether it's the website, you're getting lead gen from a website, you're getting it from your Facebook ad. Do you have a lead magnet? Are you pushing them from the ad over to the site? When they're at the site, what are they getting from you? Are they filling something out? Is there a bot responding? Is that stuff funneling into a CRM so you can start the nurturing process and the follow-up and all that for conversion? Like, I think that those are the pieces of the puzzle that when somebody says, I did a Facebook ad, they don't think about all these other tools that have to be invested in the system to make it really come to life.
Right.
Right. And that's the bigger story. That's the bigger picture around cost, even that I say, like when I pose that question to you is, so yeah, they've got this $1 a day, $5 a day, whatever that they're posting on Facebook, but they need other pieces to that, right?
They do. Yeah. I mean, so first off, to answer your question, $5 to $10 a day on an ad that is set up properly and that is effective is enough. Like, so that's $150 to $300 a month. If you have an ad that's proven to work, will work wonders. I mean, you could be getting 10 leads a day, spending $10 a day.
On what audience size ish? Because like when you said
300,000, I mean, the thing with the audience size when you're doing a Facebook ad, it shows you a little like gauge. So there's on the far left, it's too small. On the far right, it's too broad. Right. You want to be somewhere in the middle. And maybe you're in a small town and you don't have hundreds of thousands. That's okay. You just want to be somewhere in that middle on that gauge. I mean, there's no easy rule of thumb there. You just want to be in that green range on that dial when you're in Ads Manager setting it up.
Okay, because I've heard some people say like $10, per 100,000 is a good rule of thumb. That type of stuff. And you go, again, you don't know what is and what isn't right?
Ultimately, it comes down to the ad. Like, is the ad actually going to get somebody's attention first, which is number one. And this is the biggest issue when people are like, I tried Facebook ads and they don't work. It's because the ad sucked. It didn't capture attention, or it wasn't put in front of the right people when it would have grabbed attention and performed very well. It was just put in front of the wrong audience. So there's so many little things that you have to do. There's really no inconsequential step in the Facebook ad creation process. Everything matters. Right. I don't say that to scare you. I just, first off, that should actually encourage you, because most competitors aren't going to do this shit. They're not going to take the time to learn this. Yep. But if you take the time to, and you don't have to go take a course or hire a coach or anything. You could, like, I learned this all myself. YouTube videos, reading articles, and doing it. And focusing on get their attention first, and then deliver something that audience that you're trying to reach will actually be interested in. If you can do that, you're going to be fine.
Yeah. So, okay, cool. So, I mean, it comes down to the visual, to the copy, to the audience you're going after. And then once you've sort of built that connection point, are you suggesting that they're using the Facebook ad forms, that they're using a website that they're generating, they're driving people to, and on the website there's a form and there's a magnet there? What's kind of that next step? So I've created my ad, or I'm about to put that out there, and I'm listening to you and I go, yeah, I'm in, and okay, cool, I'm bought in. I do it. Where am I connecting that thing to kind of create the next step of the process?
Great question. So, it's involved, and this is why you have to take the time to learn it and spend some money testing. I really like for the agent who wants leads, that's their objective, because there's so many different things you can do with Facebook ads. You could promote a video that you just did, you could promote an article, you could promote an event. But if you just want leads, if you want people to fill out a form, submit their info, and become a lead, I like the lead generation objective, because then you don't need your own landing page, you don't need lead pages, you don't need any of that stuff. It keeps the consumer in Facebook, so they never leave the platform. It populates a lead form, and it actually auto-populates the fields, the name, email address, phone number, if there is one on your Facebook account. It auto-populates that, and all they have to do is hit submit, and they just became a lead.
And where does that data go?
So that goes into Facebook, and then you're going to need to have it connected to your CRM. There's a lot of CRMs that have direct integrations with Facebook. Wise Agent, what else? Lion Desk. What's the other one? Follow Up Boss. There's a few others. I really like Wise Agent. I left Lion Desk a few months ago. Just wasn't doing it for me.
Cool.
If you don't have one of those, you can use something called Zapier, whatever, and it
does that API integration and stuff.
Yep. So you could set up a Zap, they call it. So whenever a lead comes into Facebook, it sends you a text, or it sends you an email with their information, or it can get crazy. It's like an if this then that program. You could even have it to where when a Facebook lead comes in, it opens your garage door if you have a smart garage door, and everything in between.
True, right?
It could flash your lights. That's actually not a bad idea. Every time a lead comes in, your lights flash.
Right, the lights go off. I just got one of those Budweiser red lights that go off when the Leafs score a goal. It's pretty cool. Anyways.
Nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, you've got people that don't understand that part. You might think that, I don't have any leads, and then you go log into the Facebook platform, and you're like, you have 12 leads that came in over the last week, and after 5 minutes, they're dead anyways. So you've got to have that follow-up process. For sure. We have, so over on my, I'm trying to think if I have this video public or not. I'm going to make it public. So I did a walkthrough on how to connect Facebook leads to your CRM, and it's just a walkthrough video. So if you go over to massiveagentsociety.com and click on blog in the toolbar up top, I'm gonna make sure that that's a public post, but there's a video there that walks you through that process, because if you've never done it before, it's kind of a cluster.
It's not that thing gonna be shareable.
Yeah. Okay, it's just a blog post with an embedded video. And in fact, let me make a note right now to make sure that is public.
Yeah, keep me posted when that's up, and I'm going to share that out to my network here for you. And I know that you help people with these ads. Is that correct?
I do. Yeah.
Okay. So what I'm going to suggest for everybody listening right now, Dustin's got, I could talk to Dustin for hours about this topic, and he's got so much to share with everybody here. I'm going to encourage everybody to go to, follow Dustin, check him out, find him, and find out what he's up to with these Facebook ads. Dustin, where do they go? Is that the Massive Agent Society? They can go and find that stuff, right?
Yep, Massive Agent Society. We'll give them all the info they need there. There's some free resources on the blog that you don't have to be a member to get.
Okay, cool.
One of them, I'm going to make sure it's public, is that walkthrough on how to connect your leads to your CRM or wherever else, but also how to do custom audiences, what a custom audience is, how to set them up, how to use them. Because you alluded to it earlier. It's one of those tools that has turned companies like Wish.com and Amazon and Target into ridiculous e-commerce players, billion-dollar businesses.
Yeah.
Because of something called retargeting. And it's a tool in your tool belt with Facebook ads, but most people, especially other agents and LOs, don't have a clue. They don't know how. They just run a one-off ad to a cold audience and call it good. A custom audience is something where it's like, if you want to run an ad specifically to people who have visited your website and only those people, you can create a custom audience of people that have visited your site, right? Your Facebook pixel. So you install your pixel, create a custom audience, then you can run an ad to just those people. You can, people that have watched a certain video on your Instagram profile or on your Facebook page, or a certain, one specific article on your website, you can run an ad to just those people. I do a walkthrough on that massiveagentsociety.com in the blog as well. So, start learning that stuff, guys. It's just, Facebook has changed my life.
Well, it's powerful, and it comes back to this thing for me. When you look at Facebook, you look at social media, right? It's important that everybody really listens to this, okay? This is crucial. Write this stuff down if you need to. It's free. You could join on for free. You could be friends for free. You could connect for free. You could share content for free. You could steal people's content and share that for free. Everything about it is free. So the first step in that game is get involved, get engaged, have a consistent game plan for what you're going to do on the organic side of the social media world. Once you've really locked that in, then go and reap all the rewards of what you can do from the fact of if you put a couple dollars into it. And like we just alluded to, you don't have to put a lot at all. The cost for a Facebook ad versus any other advertising medium that's out there right now is ridiculously cheap. So it's take advantage of the free stuff first, really lock that in. And then you can take and you can start to break into paying for stuff and really up your game to that next level. And I mean, the things like custom audiences and even getting involved in group, like there's so much stuff out there. It is really, really powerful.
It's beyond powerful. Like that doesn't do it justice.
Oh, no, man. And that's the thing, too, right? Like but always remember, it's a social media, right? So, I mean, here on a two-pronged question here, if I'd say first, I was going to ask you from a lead gen perspective and like an ads perspective, from a chatbot thing. To me, bots are first. It's very cool. I think that that takes us down the road and I mean way down the road when we talk about voice and we talk about like even real robots coming to life at some point, which it will because of voice marketing and everything else, or voice commands. But the thing about chatbots is that a lot of people will try and implement these things without actually, again, understanding the whole reasoning behind it and what they've got to do to really take advantage. Is this something that everybody should have connected to their sites, or is it really just the busy agents that should have this stuff? Like, do they need to have this as part of a lead gen system? What's the deal around that? Just on a short form around bots, because I know that's its own topic, like that we could go off on.
Yeah, that's a whole other episode.
I know,
for sure.
Right? Like I know, but is it just for the busy agent, or is this for everybody and anybody right now? What would be the quickest answer on that one?
So chatbots are so versatile and you can do so much with them, or it could be as simple as just like greeting somebody when they message your page on Facebook and just saying, hey, are you looking to buy a house or sell a house? And then they click one and it takes them to a certain page on your website. It could be that simple. Or it could be extremely complex where, if you're a loan officer and you're pre-qualifying people and asking for their credit score and, employment info and all that, it could be incredibly complex. But I really think because of just how powerful they are, and you can use it for free on the ManyChat platform. Okay. It's a free chatbot. I think everyone needs one. And it's not, look, you can absolutely go set it up yourself for free and do it. You can hire someone to do it. We do them for $100. We just we'll set them up for you for $100 and then it's yours forever.
$100 one time. You just do it and that's it. It's in.
Yeah, you're just paying for the setup and then it's yours. There's no monthly fee. You can customize it, add to it. Here's where I think it's really powerful. Not only are you can use it to deliver information to people in a bunch of different ways. It's better. It's almost like a live help. If somebody messages your page at 3 a.m., you're not going to respond to them, but your chatbot will, and it can guide them down a path and deliver information and capture some information even. But you can also leverage the fact that you even have one in listing appointments. When you're sitting down with a buyer or you're trying to show what a great marketer you are with a potential listing, when you're sitting down with the sellers, you can talk about your chatbot and how that works. They don't know what the hell a chatbot is.
Right, but they know that you're on the ball.
Yeah,
you're with it.
It's one of those things. If you have a flash briefing, if you have a chatbot, if you do anything that's somewhat cutting edge that most competitors don't, bring that up because that shows how savvy you are. So even if you don't ever use your chatbot, just leverage the fact that you have one, explain to people what it is and what you can do with it, and that's going to wow sellers.
I think it's one of those things too that it's important for everybody to understand that even if you're going to implement one of those types of tools, you still got to remain involved. You still got to jump in at some point and be the human being because it's about the connection you make. And that is going to be your differentiator, right? Is building that relationship with somebody, really reaching out as a real person and going, hey, I'm real, you're real, let's talk. And I mean, that could be off of a lead, that could be a bot, that could be door knocking. Like the reality, it's a people business. So even if we're going to have a lot of this automation, these cool tools, which we believe you should, remember, don't disconnect yourself from the biz, right? Always prove your value out there. Why you and not somebody else?
Yep.
So we talked, we've been going on for a while, and I wanted to dig into two more things here without dragging us on way too long and sort of, maybe tiring out people's ears. But on the topic of social, I get this question a lot from people and I think we've kind of answered this maybe today already, but, I want to up my social media game this year. I want to do more this year. How can I do more? What can you do to help me? And I'm like, again, like I said, joked about before, here, give me $1,500 a month, give me $1,000 on ad spend, and I'll help you on social, right? But you really want the real answer on that? Put your money in your pocket and just get involved. Start to have a social media game, start to be there, start to put content out there. What to you, if like somebody came to you today and said, Dustin, I want to up my social media game. What do you suggest? What would you say?
I'd start asking questions like, what are you good at? What do you enjoy doing? Do you like doing video? Are you good at it? Are you charismatic? Are you nervous as hell to be in front of the camera? Do you like to write? Do you like to talk? I mean, it really matters. It really matters. Like, are you good? What are you good at? And what do you enjoy doing? Because you have to do those things long enough to win.
I don't want to do any of that stuff. Can I just hire a company to do it for me?
Sure.
How's that going to go for them?
Yeah, it's expensive, and there's a lot of shit out there. I mean, some of these Facebook ad coaches and do it yourself or do it for you programs are $5,000 a month.
They're a lot of money.
A lot of money. They're not all that expensive. I really think, though, especially as the market softens and the economy changes, when we're so used to good times and things just being like, you put a sign in the yard, the listing sells.
Great point. Yeah.
All of a sudden, when it's a buyer's market and you have to actually work to sell a house, if you didn't learn how to market, if you didn't learn how to do Facebook ads yourself, and now your budget is a half of what it was, you're screwed. Like if you've been relying on Boomtown or Curator and now you can't afford it and you don't know how to do it. Yeah. I'm a huge proponent of learning how to do this stuff yourself. It saves you a lot of money and it's empowering. It gives you the power. When you know how to generate your own leads, you're in control. You don't have to rely on your team or your broker or your partner or, Boomtown or whoever. It's in your hands. And that is what I'm all about with our coaching program, with our training program. We want to teach you to fish, not just give you a bunch of fish over and over and over every day.
I love it.
We want to teach you how to do it and be a master, because I don't want you as a client for a year. Like that's good money, but like that's not good for you. It doesn't take that long to just like speed up that learning curve, leverage somebody else's knowledge and expertise. We actually give people a database of ads that they can just copy and paste. The ads that are proven to work. They're like, I want sellers. I'm going to copy this. Bing, bang, boom, done. So there's resources out there. That's my whole point. There's resources out there to teach you for a relatively low cost how to do this yourself. Once you know, it's all on you and you have all the power and all the control and you're saving thousands and thousands a month. You can go hire somebody to do it for you. Absolutely. Don't. If you want, think long term. You want to be the one who controls your lead gen. And if you're a loan officer, my God, learn how to run ads, generate leads, and then bring those leads to agents that you've wanted to partner with, instead of inviting them to coffee or golf.
I like it.
And sending them a goddamn LinkedIn DM.
Yeah.
Say, hey, I have a pre-qualified buyer. You want to work with them? You're going to get that agent's attention and they're going to work with you. You have all the power.
What I just took from that then comes back, and this is something that I say to people a lot of the time too, is the first thing you got to do is you got to decide. Do I want to be stuck behind a computer or writing content or producing content all day? Or is that really not for me? And do I want to be out there meeting with people all day? And I think that differentiator right there is important, because if you're willing, and it's not maybe all day, but if you're willing to dedicate some time in your day to focus on the learning and the content creation, then just like Dustin just said, you guys can totally up your game at very little cost to almost no cost, maybe just a little bit of time. You can really up your social media game. Instead of going, no, I'd rather be the guy out there, but I really want to do social media, so just tell me how much I'm going to try it. That's not going to work.
That's not going to work. And I went down the Facebook ads road again, but with social media, it's the same thing. Like if you want to brand yourself, if you're trying to build a personal brand or a team brand, how are you going to do that without your own voice and personality inflected into it? You can't outsource your own voice and your own personality. That's I know we've talked about the magic of content marketing being consistency. Well, the other magic that's even more powerful, I think, is the fact that people get to make a connection with you and who you are personally by seeing you on video, by how you say things, what you say, how you say it. If you're showing that your kid just like is terrorizing the house and there's toys everywhere, other people relate to that and they make a
Yeah,
connection
you're
when
right.
they do that. People hire people that they know, like, and trust. It's cliche, but it's absolutely the truth.
It's
They
true, man.
If you outsource it to some god awful social media company that's just generic and has that, they're not showing yourself and your voice, people cannot get to know you. And therefore they can't really like you or trust you if they can never get to know you personally. So you've got to do your own social media. You can outsource
Yes.
certain things, the mundane things, but like the message, the content itself has to be from you. It has to.
Well, that's why for me, you'll see a lot about the Leafs. You'll see a lot about my Harley. You'll see a lot about my kids because those are kind of my three. I mean, outside of biz and everything I do here, but those are like my three top things in life that I'm passionate about. So it's, if you ride, you can connect with me. Maybe you don't ride, so you don't connect on that level. Maybe you are a hockey fan. Maybe you like the same team as me or you hate my team. There could be a connection point there. Maybe you've got kids. There's little things like that you got to let people into. And there's a lot of people and there's a lot of people that don't want to let the world in. Well, again, understand that it's a social media. And if you're going to try to take advantage of this platform, you got to start to let people in some place, right? You've got to start to create that human connection with people. It's integral to the success of social media for sure, right? And I've said many times to people, and I say this again in one of my presentations, is hiring somebody to do your social media for you is like hiring somebody to go to a party for you, right? If you go and have somebody come with you, it's a different story. But to go for you, it doesn't really work, right? So again, those little
Exactly.
mundane things you can bring people in for, but on a daily basis, you want to up your social game, you need to get involved.
Couldn't have said it any better.
Right, buddy. So listen, just before we wrap, and there's so much we could go on about. I mean, seriously, if everybody here checks out Massive Agent, if you're already on top of the MindShare 101 stuff, you get it. Between Dustin and I, we got enough content to burn your ears off for years to come. But as co-founder of the Industry Syndicate, you obviously have a lot vested in the idea of voice marketing. And I have to say, I agree completely with it. As a guy who does a lot of video to a guy that does a lot of video, what's your take on the idea of voice marketing outpacing video marketing this year in 2019, or even in the next year or two to come? Like, what do you suggest people do if they even want to get more involved in voice?
First off, are we as a society becoming busier or not?
Oh
Every
yeah,
year we get
absolutely,
busier.
man. It's
We have
crazy.
less time. And so you can't watch video while you're driving. Well, I know some people do and some people record it. Stop it. Stop
Yeah.
it. But you can't. You can't watch video while you're doing the dishes or walking the dog or, commuting. You can listen to podcasts. You can listen to audiobooks. I mean, the
Yeah.
reason why Audible and audiobooks been so big is passive listening. And now podcasts are free. You don't have to buy them.
Yep.
They're free and they're fresh. Like somebody could have recorded it that morning and now you're listening to new content. Audiobooks aren't like that. It could be a 10-year-old book that you're listening to. So because of everyone's wanting to multitask and do something, do things at the same time, voice marketing's huge and it's only going to get bigger. We're already seeing it right now with podcasting. Podcasting is really, really hot. There's a lot of people launching new shows and that's just going to speed up. Flash briefings on Alexa are the next thing. I think they're actually the right now, but most people don't do them. It's all because people want to passively listen while they're doing something else, and voice marketing is that solution. There's a lot of thought leaders in the industry of marketing that agree with this. There's a lot of big Silicon Valley investors that agree with this, like David Andreessen. He had an article recently where he says voice marketing is next. Gary Vee says voice marketing is now. And
I agree with that, man.
100%. So, start a podcast on a local level, start a flash briefing. Like, they're not hard. I'm doing a talk next week at Inman in New York about how to do a podcast. It's a 10-minute presentation. Like, it's bing, bing, boom. They're not that hard. You just have to commit and learn a few things that you don't know right now. But guess what? That's life. You always have to learn something new if you want to do something new. podcasting is something with a very low barrier to entry. You could do for free. You don't have to pay a hosting fee if you want to go with Anchor or something like that. Podcasting, flash briefings, you can absolutely do it, and I highly recommend it, because then there's another differentiator of you on a local level.
Right.
It's like, hey, Mr. Seller, I'm actually going to talk about this listing of yours on my podcast. I'm actually going to advertise it on my local flash briefing.
Great.
And they're like, oh my God, yes, I'm going to be on Alexa. Like the last agent said he'd put a sign in my yard.
Right. I love you know what, buddy? And that there is such a logical thought process, but it's almost like you just said it and it's like, yeah, right. Absolutely. Great point there, man. Sorry.
No.
Listen, we've been going on and on and on. I want to dig back deeper with you on the topic of voice and video and the podcast thing on another episode for sure. 100%. Love catching up with you on this stuff. And personally, for me, like, I think the buy-in on voice is so much easier for people to consume as well as create than video. It's just, you don't have to, like, you can be in your underwear if you want to be, right? People don't have to see you. You can be anywhere you want. It can be at any time of the day. You don't have to worry about what you look like. Like, it's easy to do that. And for people to consume it, like you said, they can be passively consuming it. I mean, I love Audible. I've got a goal every month to read 1 to 2 books a month. I'm about to finish my 3rd book this month. Thank you,
Yes.
Audible, right?
Audible.
And in
Fantastic.
that, love it, dude. And in that, like, I'm listening to podcasts. I'm listening to, like, all of my boys, you guys, my crew. Like, I'm taking all of that in, and the knowledge is phenomenal. So, like, with the idea of voice commands even, and how we're getting closer to being like the Jetsons, and boy, do I hope some people here know who the Jetsons are. But, you know, like, having robots do stuff for us, like getting milk, cooking dinner, cleaning up, voice technology, literally, to me, still has so much more coming. And it's just from voice marketing, voice commands. I am totally down with it. I think that is literally going to, I believe it's going to trump video in 2019. I think we're going to start to see its revelation of people going like, oh my God, it's just so much easier to do that. Anyhow, buddy, it has been a wicked episode. Before we wrap, where can people find you?
Cool. Thank you. Yeah, this was fun. We really dove deep on a lot of good stuff. So this is awesome. They can find me on social at Massive Agent. Google Dustin Brohm. Go to massiveagentsociety.com. Check out our Facebook ads, training and support program. We do only allow 1 agent or loan officer per market.
Okay.
For the full thing, although I do have coaching that there is no limit on. All of that info is at Massive Agent Society. But yeah, go follow us on Instagram, say hey, and then check out the Massive Agent podcast. New episodes every Thursday morning, wherever fine podcasts are sold.
Love it, buddy.
iTunes, Spotify, all that good stuff.
Yeah, man. And seriously, everybody listening, type in Massive Agent, like Google it, Facebook it, whatever. Yeah, it's not going to be hard to find Dustin. He is literally all over the place. Dude, you do an absolutely amazing job. I know you're a friend, but I love following you out there. Like, the content is phenomenal. I learn a ton. So I really want to thank you. I really appreciate you taking the time today. As always, brother, this has been an absolutely awesome episode, man.
Thank you so much. No, this was fun.
Absolutely, buddy. So, okay, well, you're either listening to this, like Dustin said, on iTunes, on Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever you consume your content. Maybe you went to the industrysyndicate.com. Maybe you went to MindShare101.com. Wherever you like to consume your content, please rate, review, subscribe. And if you haven't yet, connect with me on Facebook at MindShare101 and on Instagram at DavidGreenspan101. This has been another episode of the MindShare podcast. Thanks, everyone, for listening.